What is up? Welcome back again, and we're going to be talking about how to create a seven-figure software development agency, especially in 2021. Now, it's changed. This is well different to when I started my agency in 2017, and I'm going to talk to you about how you can do this, how to acquire your first customers, how you can go ahead and grow it, the mistakes I made, the mistakes you will make and you should fix, how to build an agency that can scale beyond just time, and all the things that you need to know in the effect of hiring your first employee, getting customers at scale, as well as scaling beyond your time and building something that is sustainable. Sweet. With that, let us kick off in 3, 2, 1. First thing you need to know is there are three main types of agencies that exist in software development. The first type is embedded engineers. That means you basically hire people, you place them on site. It almost acts like a meta recruitment platform or recruitment company. The second thing that you have is basically embedded or consultant engineers. Those basically are kind of like embedded engineers, but consultants act as more so someone that comes in, pops in, helps out, solves a particular problem as architects and then leaves. So it's not necessarily project based, it's not embedded, it's a bit of a hybrid. And the last thing is you have project based consulting, which is someone comes to you, gives you an idea, says they want you to build it out, and then you build it out for them, and then after that charge them a retainer to keep them on board. Now, neither or is correct or wrong. It's the best way to do is keep a balance of them all so that you have a retainer model as well as you have a project-based model to acquire initial customers. Sweet. So with that being said, let's jump on to the next section. We're going to be talking about the most important part of this video straight away, which is essentially how to acquire your first customer, which is the most difficult part. Because remember, when you're starting off, you don't necessarily have a portfolio to begin with, you don't have experience, nor do you have a big team. So how do you go ahead and convince people to give you money to essentially help you build that portfolio? It's a very big chicken and egg situation that everyone almost faces. So the first thing you can do is basically start by offering your services mapped upon your value and experience, whatever you have. Now, if you do not have any experience or you do not have many projects or companies that you worked for in the past, I would usually do that. Whichever company I would work for in the past, I'd almost say that, you have a team of engineers who worked at XYZ companies. Now, if you do not have that, that's okay. The easiest way you can start off is by showing proof, which is building mini products. Take a sprint of 1 to 2 weeks, build 2 to 3 products, 1 or 2, the more the better, and essentially showcase this to customers. Now, don't build boring, non-utility based products. Build apps on what people might use or your future customers might actually use. So you can actually give that to them and tell them, look, you've used this is the quality of work you're going to get. Imagine what we can do for you. So think about products that your potential customer, your customer base is going to use. You need to know that persona, which we will talk about very soon as well. The other ways you can essentially do this is in a few formats. You can go out and reach out to people on Facebook groups. You can go and speak to people in startup communities in Facebook groups. You can go to Reddit posts that are a little difficult, but Reddit actually does work when you dig deep enough. The other place is essentially join paid communities. This is a completely untapped market, and this is something no one speaks about that is a gold mine for you, which is you go to communities such as Trends, you go to communities such as Visualize Value, you go to communities where there's mentored or gated access. That means there are people selling things to entrepreneurship and business, and that is where you can necessarily not sell value, but sell expertise, but sell value. Become the one-stop expert for your particular niche over there whenever there's a question, and then slowly and steadily what's going to happen is you're going to have these curated set of people reach out to you, asking you for your feedback, more importantly asking you for your services, and that's how you can start building up a portfolio. That is very, very important. There's a secret that most people don't speak about, because that is a great way for you to get access to highly qualified individuals that are going to see your value, and B, know that you are providing value and take help from it, versus a Facebook group which anyone can join. What I mentioned before is you need to really understand who your customer persona is, because if you know who you're selling to, it's going to really help how you're going to cater your services, whether that's CTOs, COOs, CEOs. If you're selling to CTOs, your technical expertise needs to be at top-notch level. If you're selling to CEOs, then you know your business output or how you build products that can scale or bring in revenue to your customers or their customers is going to be extremely, extremely important. So make sure you know who you're positioning yourself to and build content around it. Content is going to be your naysay. So this is the best time to start with content, and SEO was 3 years ago. The other next best time is today. So do not let go of that. However much you think it's not giving you value right now, trust me, in 1 to 2 years time, you would have wished you started today. So focus on a content-based approach, an educational-based approach where it's authoritative with respect to the advice you give to people, which means you can actually go ahead and contribute to technical blog platforms like Dev.to, Medium, and so on and so forth to gain that initial traffic. Another big secret that I didn't share with a lot of people, but now you're gonna get full access to it, is an easy way to acquire big clients. We actually acquired PwC within about a month and a half after I launched the agency, which was unheard of, but we did do that. We did deliver the work. This was 4 years ago now. The team is much bigger. The way we did that was essentially segued ourselves into large corporates and companies via an education approach. So what you can do is pretty much create an online course. Maybe you're teaching people how to build a mini application, something your target audience will want to know, your customer base. So I did one about React.js and how to build a mobile app in React. And then I would send that out to CTOs, asking them to refresh their skills. It will only take an hour. And what I ended up doing was acquiring a bunch of people who were impressed by the work we did. They didn't necessarily sign up, but they said, hey, do you want to come and teach our team about this new skill set? So maybe don't do React, because React is obviously quite exhausted, but look at new technologies that the rest of the world is basically looking for right now, and other companies are looking to get skill sets within their own team to get acquired. So you can go ahead and essentially build for that particular output. So go ahead and maybe teach people how to become svelte engineers if that's what you see people doing. I think another skill set that people really want nowadays is Golang. So go ahead and do a Golang course, teach a simple Golang course on Udemy or any of these platforms that already have distribution baked in. Use that as a metric to then reach out to other people, executives, and tell them you can do training for them and their own staff and team. And that will really help you really put your hand into a place where it's really hard to get access to, which is large companies, because they have such a big vetting process. Okay, the second thing, which is a bigger important thing, is okay, you've acquired a customer, you got someone to actually go ahead and say, yes, we'll build the product out for you. How do you go ahead and do it? As counterintuitive as it sounds, you do not want to go ahead and start building the product yourself. You want to hire someone to help you deliver as soon as possible. It's the same concept as imagine Gordon Ramsay going ahead and cooking in every single one of his restaurants. No, that's not the situation. You're going to be the quality bearer. You're going to be the person who's going to be able to create that value and empower people, and you become nothing but that gatekeeper of quality. So make sure you build a process and a system around where you can hire people and take care of that delivery process. So it needs to be project based. The second thing is you need to make sure you have systems created from day one, from start to end. How do you want the product to be delivered? How are you going to communicate with your customer? How often they're going to talk to you? What is the expectations of when the product can be delivered to them, quality assurance, and how often they're going to be chatting with you throughout the process. You want to set those boundaries, otherwise they're going to become too overbearing, or you're not going to be communicating with them enough, and then they're not going to be happy with the outcome because they're just not too sure what they even get. Try keep yourself as asynchronous as possible. Don't jump into multiple client calls, because trust me, you're going to get very tired very soon. Your focus as a founder, as the owner of the company, is to bring in revenue. Do not get confused with that. Your IP might be your technology or how good you are at software, but the unfortunate truth in running a consultancy or a service-based business is you need to become the person who can bring in revenue and a consistent scale so that you can hire more people, solve bigger problems, and eventually build a self-fulfilling prophecy. So make sure that you're focused on that. That doesn't mean you give up on quality. That is in the end the source and the bread and butter of your business. So it is going to be a little hard in the initial days, but soon enough you will be able to hire a part-time project manager. Again, remember, we're in a great time of our life right now where you can find all these people for absolutely an affordable price across the world using things like Upwork or Freelancer. That might be, a part-time project manager, whoever it might be, to help you out in that space. Now we're going to be talking about probably what the second biggest important thing for you to focus on is how to actually build and grow your agency. I told you how to acquire your first customer, but how do you acquire customers in a repeatable way, in a scalable way, in a way that can make sure that you go home at night and sleep versus actually staying and working the whole time? The way I would start is going productized first. That means offer products from the very beginning, offer productized services. So instead of offering a fresh app built every single time, maybe build a template. So go ahead and offer someone an AWS infrastructure installation for $10,000 flat fee, right? You've done that, and since you built a template out of it, you can go ahead and basically build a predictable system so you can hire whoever you want under the sun, train them up, and quickly get them to deliver that process for you. That way you are not dependent upon a person or an individual to do that. So processize and productize your services as soon as possible. The other thing I would do is do not sleep on emails or ebooks. Write as many ebooks as possible. Again, all of this you can actually outsource and get someone to do the writing for you once you write the crux of the content, because technical content is a little difficult. But if you write good enough ebooks, you write ebooks that are focused on outcome of what your customers want. Again, if you're chasing technical people, then the ebooks are going to be more technically geared. Maybe you're talking about CI/CD optimization, you're talking about improving their upload time, reducing the amount of bugs they have. Or the other thing you can do is essentially focus on outcome, which is revenue. That is what most people hear and listen. So focus on that and write blog posts or ebooks that help people understand how they can bring more customers and revenue into their business or their app using what your ideologies are. That's a great way to acquire emails, nurture them, and eventually see some of them convert to hire you for their services. All right, so the other thing you need to focus on is social media groups. So you need to be out there. You need to be on Clubhouse, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, wherever it is, wherever your customers are hanging, you need to be right there selling value. Again, look, it needs to be classy selling. In the end, if you're not selling your services, no one else is going to buy from you, because if you can't sell yourself, how do you expect other people to sell for you or on your behalf? So you need to be very particular about where you hang out and how you sell, how classy you are, and that the way the classiness comes is through content, by offering value. I don't know who said this, but it's absolutely true. Take everything you know and pretty much offer it to free for the rest of the world, and eventually they will come to you because they trust you at that point, and trust is the name of the game in a services business model. So that's what I would do to go ahead and build that. Focus on SEO. Like I said from day dot, SEO is going to be the most important thing for you when you're trying to go ahead and build an agency and scale it beyond time. I will not sleep on paid advertising. That's a mistake I made when I started. Focus on paid ads as much as you can. Become really good at it. Find places where you can actually go ahead and scale your paid advertising, because once you work out the economics, because a service-based model, a customer generally is valued a lot more versus a SaaS product, which is $49 a month or whatever. Services-based customer might be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. So keep that in mind and go ahead and into a paid advertising model. This is where the thing around email captures, PDFs, as well as content will come to really strong play for you, because it's just attachments and more proof that you're adding that you know what you're talking about. Now I want to talk to you about some hard truths about the agency model. It is one of the toughest businesses you can be in and run, because it's an inherently broken business model where the client needs and requirements will not ever match your requirements. In the end, they're trying to get a product built and they're going under your trust to build something big for them. But however, for them it's transactional. For you it's not. For you it is kind of transactional. For them it's relationship based, so as it is for you. But you need to work out a clear gap, clear boundaries where you're trying to say that we are going to be a trust-based factor for you, but it is going to be based also on revenue. So they are trusting you with large sums of money, so you need to be particular about how you build that relationship and the boundaries that you create with them. Second thing, it is a lot of hard work if you don't figure out the systems in the beginning place. So you need to work out boundaries, you need to work out systems, you need to work out processes. In the end, when you want to kill and build any value into your agency, that value of your agency is directly proportional to the systems that you create, because systems basically mean repeatability. Repeatability basically means value. The other thing you need to focus on is also recurring revenue business model, which is tentatively hard in a service or a software-based business agency versus a marketing or design agency, where that's relatively more possible or capable, especially in marketing. With development, you want to build basically an arbitrage where you can go ahead and sell your customer a service-based model where essentially you're making a profit per team member that you have on board. So if you can get a recurring business model, that is the best way you can essentially take it, which falls under the embedded model that I spoke to in the beginning. So think about how you can do that, because without recurring revenue, you're pretty much out there selling every single time you finish a project. The other thing I want to say that you need to focus on getting as many testimonials from people you can trust as possible. This is a very people-to-people, person-based business, and that is the unfortunate truth of how it works. So you need to work hard to go ahead and get people or find out ways you can get customers to champion you, whether that's through referrals, revenue models, or if it's a client share or profit share. Work out ways you can actually get your customers to champion you. The last main point I want to make, which is the hardest truth, is you need to realize that software is a commodity. Not many people care about this, not even the CTO of the company you're working at. What they care about is outcome, and that's what you need to deliver. What is the outcome of what you're trying to give to them, which is basically your service. Your service is a feature, but most people, as we know, do not care about features, they care about outcomes. What is it in for me, right? What am I going to achieve by using you? So whether that's peace of mind, that's quality, that's dependability, whatever it is, you need to focus on the elements that are going to be important for your customer. So make sure that you can put that into place, and sometimes that's a little hard for you to achieve, especially when you're a small person, agency, 1 or 2 people trying to work it out. The other thing I would do is from day dot as a discipline, which is again going to be very hard, is again, you're going to hear this theme quite often, is content focus, is maybe do YouTube videos, do LinkedIn, do Twitter, do TikTok, whatever will acquire you more peoples and more eyes, because what that means is it's not necessarily conversion of trust or clients, but it actually means trust, which is what I just mentioned. Is you want people to understand that you exist beyond just the initial conversation they've had with you. There are so many times where I personally have gone into meetings with someone else and someone on the other side of the table says, hey, I recognize you from LinkedIn. And that automatically solves so many trust barriers, because this is not the first time they've met me. They've seen my content before, they've absorbed my content before, and they know that I exist as a person. These are honestly the ways the hard truth that I've had to face when I started building my agency, and that's how I acquired my first set of customers as well. Of course, with that, I want to end it on a very good note, which is there are some very, very happy truths to running a services business model if you get it right. Some of the most successful SaaS companies and billion-dollar businesses have been built from agencies, from MailChimp to ConvertKit, you name them, they have all come from an agency business model where people have essentially started off by running a marketing agency, development agency, and then spinning one of their own internal products into a multi-billion-dollar SaaS app or a startup. So figure out a way you can productize yourself, reuse your team members who are available to go ahead and deliver multiple products for your customers, but to also go ahead and build products for you internally that you can eventually learn how to scale and grow, because that is kind of where you're going to be making your net value of your business, because the book value of your startup or your agency is tentatively low as compared to a SaaS business. But if you build internal SaaS tools and start scaling those, you also end up having a recurring business model, multiple revenues to focus on, and also a resource pool of people who can build the product out for you. The other thing I want you to understand is you need to focus on the fixed scope approach for certain clients. And what I mean by fixed scope approach is that what ends up happening with most founders is that when you go on a time and material basis, time and material basically means that they're hiring you or a set number of your team members out for an end amount of time. As an agency, in the initial days, your focus is to get as many portfolio clients as possible and as well as testimonials as possible, because that's going to help you build a book value and also acquire new customers. You do not want to have large stretching clients who don't have results in the products they hire you for. And as the saying goes, a builder's home is never done. So you want to go ahead and set strict constraints with the customers you work with, saying, look, we are going to finish this and deliver the product at this point in time. After that, we'll jump into retainer model. This forces their arm to go ahead and launch the product quickly, which also helps you have something of a portfolio to show to other people. Always focus on a 30% margin of error whenever you're building products, because that's just the nature of truth. That's just how the world operates. We're always going to be issues whenever that comes to play. So make sure you put that into position, because that is going to help you cover your bottom line and save money. And the other happy truth I also want to mention is the services business model, if you worked at it, is very, very profitable, because everyone's always looking for services. You just need to stay on top of the game and build a business engine or a growth engine that will help you acquire customers at scale. Now, if you're starting out an agency in 2021, this is exactly the mistakes that I made, and these are the things I would do, which is focus on heavy content, value proposition, do online courses and share it with people. Do not let go of email. Email marketing is fantastic. Content marketing is great. Do not expect to have a sale in the first X amount of days or weeks, because a service-based model is purely based on trust and reputation, and that takes time to build. But one of those things where they compound and grow really quickly, which is how I was able to build my agency very fast. The last thing I want to mention as a parting note for you is focus on trends. This is going to be one of the biggest things I can mention to you. And the trends that I wanted to say that you can look at in this day and age in 2021 is e-commerce and AI. If you can build a business model or your service industry around e-commerce and AI, you might say e-commerce is very flooded, there's thousands of people doing it. That doesn't matter. The need and want for e-commerce developers, good quality engineers, is more than ever at this point in time. I would personally not focus a lot on the technological aspect of the e-commerce side, but a lot on revenue and outcome. So I would position myself, if I was doing this again, as an e-commerce agency who can develop and build products for high converting websites, who can get customers and convert them to paying customers. So look at that. AI as well is a big space right now with the advent of how we're seeing the world move towards with data mining and data aggregation and information. If you can build an AI approach to your business, that is going to be a fantastic way to increase your revenue, separate yourself from every other development company in the world, and stand out. So there it is. This is the new future 2021. I hope you get some value out of this, and if you do, please go ahead and click on that like button, subscribe for some new content that's going to be coming out very soon, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on what I had to say in this video. Thank you again, and have a fantastic day. Speak soon.